Hey everyone, I'm Melanie from Streamlined Legal, where we help law firms get the most out of their practice management software. But tonight we're actually not looking at practice management. Tonight we are looking at our email inbox. Specifically, if you are using Gmail for your email, and I know a lot of us sometimes feel overwhelmed by email, and we get to a point where it's just all too much, and we figure out that, we're ready. We build up our confidence, we build up whatever we need to say, we're going to clean out this inbox once and for all. And that's fantastic to get to that point. But when you get to that point, then the question becomes, where do I even start? Right? It's a little bit like when I was a kid and my mom came in and said I had to clean my room and there was just stuff everywhere and I didn't even know where to start. Right? And so I'm going to show you tonight the steps I want you to take in order to clean out that inbox, in order to make it useful for you again, in order to give it all the great information that it can and not to distract you with things that you don't need. And so let's go ahead and dive into now. Before I show you the screen, this is an actual inbox from when I practiced law. Obviously, I've not practiced in many, many years. This inbox is not in use, but it's a mess, right? And it's collected about 5,500 emails now that we're going to go ahead and start cleaning up. So let's dive in, and you can do this exact same thing in your inbox as well, right? So let's hop into our Gmail account here. Now, keep in mind, if you're using Outlook, you can use a similar approach, right? It doesn't have all the exact features we're going to look at today, but it does have a lot of them, and you can do a lot of these same things. So a lot of what we're going to depend on today are called filters, right? In Gmail. In Outlook, they call them rules. So if you want to look up the same kind of features in Outlook, use the word rules, and you'll be able to find those steps. But in Gmail, you'll see I've got this inbox that's just a little bit overwhelming with 5,500 emails. Well, of course, I'm never going to go through and get through all of those emails, right? But I can start with the ones I know what I want to do with, right? So let's take that example of Jimmy John's. Gotta love a good sandwich, okay? But what happens is, of course, I don't need these emails in my inbox anymore. I really don't need to know every time they have a new sandwich. I'll figure it out when I get to the store or when I'm ordering, but I just don't need the emails. And so I'm going to come down here. First thing I'm going to do is find the unsubscribe button, right? I'm going to click it and I'm going to go ahead and unsubscribe from Jimmy John's. I'm unsubscribing from all their communications, not just taking a break, of course. I'm going to submit that. They say, thank you, great job. It might take a little while, that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and come back to my inbox. And now what do I do with this message, right? The temptation is just to archive it and get out of there. But the truth is, if I click on these three dots here and I say filter messages like this, it's going to actually find, and you can see them in the background here, all the other emails from Jimmy John's, right? That are still in my inbox, still unread, that I really just don't need anymore. So I'm going to go ahead, and now that I found all of these emails, right, I can go ahead and select them all by clicking this box at the top. And by the way, if I have more than 50 conversations, which I do from Jimmy John's, I can click this, select all the conversations, not just the 50 that have been selected on this page, but all of those Jimmy John's emails. Let's select those. And I'm going to come over here to my garbage can and just delete them. I really don't need emails from Jimmy John's, right? So I'm going to go ahead and delete those. I have to confirm it because, of course, that's a lot of emails, right? And depending on how many emails it is, it might take a minute to actually delete them all, right? Yeah, see, it did some of the conversations already. We'll do the remaining in a few minutes. It was such a big bulk of them that it's going to take a minute or two for that to happen. And that's okay. I'm going to go back while they're working on that. Let's go back to our inbox, okay? So now you can see that probably took care of about 150 emails right there, right? We're down to 5464. So that got rid of a bunch of emails. But we can keep going with that. Like, let's find Google Play. I probably don't need those emails. Let's find other emails that I feel like I just don't need. I can go ahead and find those. But what happens if it's an email that I actually do want to see every once in a while, right? I just don't need it all the time in my inbox. This is the best way that we're going to build this filter. And so let's say, for example, I've got Minnesota Lawyers Mutual, right? This is my malpractice insurance company, let's say, and I've got this email from them. And honestly, they've got good stuff. I might actually want to read it, right? I might want to attend this tech series live. I might want to do some of these things. Of course, I've missed this one. But I might want to actually do some of these things. So I don't want to unsubscribe, frankly, right? Like I want to find out about these things, but I don't want them in my inbox, because just because they're sending it at 5 o'clock on a Thursday doesn't mean I have to read it at 5 o'clock on a Thursday, right? What I would prefer to do is I'm going to put, if I could take all these emails and put them in a folder or a label that's called, read on Thursdays, or, notifications from insurance company or something like that, then that way they can sit there until I'm ready to read them. And as they become important to me, I can read them. Or if, frankly, sometimes they may not. Like sometimes they just aren't going to be important to me, and I might not read them for, 6 months. And then I'll go back and say, oh, you know what? I've got a little time. I'd love to catch up on these, right? If that's the kind of situation, or if it's a notification that I don't necessarily need, but I'd like to have as a reference, those kinds of situations, I'm going to open up this email. Again, I'm going to come to these 3 dots and say filter messages like this. And it's going to find them all, right? And in this case, again, it found more than 50 of them, right? And so what's going to happen is I'm going to click on create a filter. The very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say skip the inbox, right? I don't need it in my inbox. That's the kind of stuff that's going to distract me and make it hard for me to find the emails I actually do need to read and do need to find out about. So I'm going to skip the inbox. I may apply a label here, right? I can apply a label, and I can choose one of the labels I already have. I can put it in that label that's called read on Thursday afternoons, or, insurance company updates, something like that. And I can have it go straight to the label, skip the inbox, go straight to the label. But this is the really brilliant part, I think. Once I've set that up for the future, of course, now when these emails come in, they'll skip the inbox, they'll go straight to the label, right? I can even mark it as read if I want to, or I can leave it unread, right? Then it will show a little number next to the label, so I'll know how many are in there that I haven't read yet. The best part, though, is at the very bottom, it's going to say, also apply filter to matching conversations. This is what's going to apply this filter to all of the conversations that I haven't even read yet that are in my inbox, right? So this is going to archive or push them into the label, whichever I've picked, or both. And it's going to go ahead and do that for all the conversations that we have in this list. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, create that filter. And again, depending on how many you have, I have a lot, right? And so that may take a couple of minutes, and you can go back to your inbox and you can keep doing things. But just know that it may take a minute depending on how many you have. Again, this is a bulk kind of thing where I had way more than 50. So it will take a few minutes for that to happen. But once it does, what we'll see is, let's go back to our inbox here. There we go. Yeah. See, now we're down to 5259. So it took care of a significant number of emails that I previously had in my inbox that now I can filter into a label that I can read at some other time, right? So this is what we need to do. These are the steps we need to take. We need to just keep going through one by one messages, right? And making sure that we can go ahead and find these emails and figure out how we want to address them in the future by creating a new filter, right? Or just deleting them. And when we create that filter, be sure to check the box at the very bottom that tells us to apply that filter to, or Gmail, to apply that filter to all of the emails in your inbox. And that's how you're going to clean up your inbox in bulk, right? Because the 1 or 2 messages that you get from random people here and there, that's not what's clogging up your inbox. What's clogging up your inbox are the things you need to unsubscribe to and then delete in bulk, and the things that you need to find a way to filter out for when you do need to see them. Because again, if we're reserving our inbox for the emails we actually need to read and pay attention to at the time they come in, or close to the time they come in, then that's going to be much more helpful than if it's overrun and overwhelmed by other emails. So I hope this was helpful. I hope you're ready to take these steps within your inbox and clean up your email the same way that we've done tonight. Thanks so much for joining me tonight. If you want other tips just like this, or if you want to walk through something like this with a team of Streamlined Legal, with the team at Streamline Legal, please feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to tell you more about our Streamline Legal Plus, where we can help you get the most out of Clio and your practice management software skills. Thanks so much. Have a great evening.